My name is Janet, aka jsthetics. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you find this video helpful, make sure you like and drop a little comment there. Welcome to Macros 101. In this video, we're going to talk about everything that you need to know about macros, what they are, how to calculate them. We're going to be talking about how to weigh your food and even track it. Just a little disclaimer, I want to talk about how not everybody should be counting their calories and their macros. If you know that you happen to have a good relationship with food and it doesn't make you feel very obsessive, then tracking your food is actually a really good way to learn about how many calories are actually in foods and how many calories you are consuming. So stay away from tracking if you know that you might spike some kind of disordered eating and you become a little bit obsessive with it. Last thing you want to do. Everybody else, this is a great way, like I said, for you to learn about how many calories you're consuming and how many calories are in actual products. A lot of people actually don't know, and that's why there's people that say things like, I don't even eat a lot. Thing is that it's not even about how much you're eating, it's how many calories you're consuming, and that is what's causing for you to lose weight, gain weight, or maintain, given you have a healthy, hormonally balanced body. Okay, so first things first, calories. What are calories? Notice that a lot of people don't know what calories are, or not even how calories are, how they work in your body, and how much the foods that you consume affect basically everything that you do. It affects your weight, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, even maintain. A calorie is a unit of energy. Calorie content of food describes how much energy your body can get from consuming it. So although there are other factors that can cause weight loss, weight gain, or to maintain, like hormone issues, high stress, metabolic issues, things like PCOS and Hashimoto, it all comes down to how many calories you're consuming. When you consume more calories than your body can use, your body stores it as fat. Your body requires more energy than it's getting. Your body starts using it as fuel. Hence, that's why you end up losing some weight. So now that we got that covered, let's get into macros and what they are. So all foods are made up of macronutrients, which are macros. Now we know macros come from macronutrients, and your macro content determines its caloric value. We have 3 macronutrients that we're gonna go over: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. All 3 of them are extremely important. Let's start with protein, shall we? So protein is essential, and it's the building block to building muscle. Consuming the right amount for your activity level and your body composition is extremely important to achieve your goal. Protein includes fish, meat, dairy, and if you're not getting enough protein from your whole foods, then that's when you start consuming protein supplements. Remember, drinking protein shakes and adding a protein supplement is not at all necessary, but protein consumption is. So protein is actually 4 calories per gram, okay? So we're gonna move on to our next one, which is carbohydrates. Carbs are an extremely vital source of fuel for your body. So notice that people that are lifting weights or they're strength training, the last thing you wanna do is remove carbs from your diet because they give you a lot of freaking energy, man. So don't stay away from it. Carbs, just like protein, is 4 calories per gram. And carbs include things like fruits and vegetables, grains, potatoes, and we're talking about the long list of potatoes, whether it's Korean potatoes, sweet potatoes, white potatoes. All of them are actually really good, and they're good for consumption, regardless of the bad rep that it has been getting for a multitude of years. So the last but not least macronutrient that we're gonna get to is fats. This one probably gets the most bad rap throughout history, okay? Fats do not make you fat. They do not make you overweight. The overconsumption of calories make you gain weight, okay? And fats are extremely vital and important. Your body actually cannot function without it. So you have to make sure that you're consuming it as well. So there's actually a difference between the types of fats. There's trans fats, saturated fats, monosaturated, and polysaturated fats. Examples of saturated fats, we have coconut oil, animal fats, and things like butter. I don't know if you guys know this, but peanut butter is a fat source, not a protein source. Fat that happens to have a few grams of protein in it. Make sure that you're not mistaking your peanut butter for protein, okay? Examples of monosaturated fats are avocado oil, olive oil. So trans fats is something that you actually want to get the least amount of in your body, which consists of vegetable oils, margarine, and is found in a lot of processed foods. So unlike protein and carbs, fats have a lot more calorie content, and it's 9 calories per gram. So let's calculate your calories. For your calories, you want to take your weight in pounds and multiply that between 10 and 12. Now, if you are less active, you want to stay on the lower end. So maybe multiply that number times 10. If you're a little bit more active, maybe 11. If you're extremely active, I mean, you're not sedentary in your lifestyle and you're training. You want to be really active in your lifestyle and also active in your training as well. And that's when you would stick to the higher end of the number. For maintenance, you want to take your body weight and you want to multiply that between 13 and 15. Same exact rules apply. Less sedentary or more sedentary, you want to stick to the lower end. More sedentary, you stick to the high. Calorie surplus, you want to take your weight again and you want to multiply that by 16 or higher, depending on how fast you want to gain. I would say do it in a very slow process. So now the thing is, while the calorie amount determines how much you gain, lose, or maintain your weight, calculating your macros actually helps you optimize your results. Now that we got that out the way, let's get into how to calculate your macros based on your needs. So there's no single correct amount of macros for anybody, but there is a range of each macronutrient which is optimal for your particular goal. We're gonna get into protein first. For optimal body composition, and that means that you're trying to build muscle, you're strength training, you should be consuming between 0.8 to 1 gram per pound, per your pound. So a lot of beginners have issues consuming very high protein. So I would stick to the lower end, maybe about 0.8 until you can kind of get a little bit more used to consuming more protein, and then you go up along the way. So we have our calories. Let's break our macros down. Fats that you should be consuming should be between 15 and 20% of your total calories.
Just a quick side note, you can also calculate your fats by multiplying your body weight times 0.25 to 0.3. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
The more fats you have in your diet, the less carbs that you have in your diet. So the good thing is that once you calculate your fats, the rest of your calories can be aimed at your carbs. So first you want to calculate your protein, then your fats, rest of everything is your carbs.
So I actually made this mock calculation of how to calculate your calories and your carbs and your proteins, your macros, if you're trying to be in a deficit. So this is just an arbitrary number, just in case. So let's say you're 160 pounds and you live a sedentary lifestyle but train moderately about 2 to 3 times a week. What you want to do is calculate your weight times 11, because remember, in a deficit you want to do between 10 and 12, and since you're moderately active, you're going to do 11, and your calories, it's going to be 1760. Now we're going to go ahead and calculate your protein. So your protein is your body weight times 0.8. Remember, if you want to increase a little bit more to 1, that's totally okay, but as a beginner, I would go on the lower end. So it'll come out to 128 grams. Your protein in calories, so it's 128 times 4. This 4 represents the amount of calories in protein, and that equals to 512 calories. I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this later, and you'll see. So now we're going to go down to fats. So fats is your body weight times 0.3. I noticed that was easier to calculate your fats times your body weight, and you'll end up with 48 grams of fat. Now, fats and calories, you already know that it's 9 grams per calorie. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate 48 times 9, and this is your fats in calories. So this is your total number of calories that you will be consuming fat. So now the carbs is actually the rest of your calories. So what you're going to do is you are going to subtract that from the total calories. So now we're going to take the total number of fats and calories and the total number of proteins and calories. So it's 432 plus 512, and that equals to 944. We're going to subtract that from your total calories. 1760 minus 944 is 816. This is the total number of carbs in calories. So now, in order to get the grams, we're going to divide that by 4, and we come out with 204 grams of carbs. So, in conclusion, if your weight is 160, moderately active, calories are 1760, protein 128, fats 48 grams, carbs 204 grams. Now remember, this is a rough estimate. There's no single correct set of macros for anybody. There's a range of each macronutrient that is optimal for a particular goal. So keep that in mind. So for this next part, we're going to be weighing your food using a scale. I got this on Amazon. They're super duper cheap. The digital ones are the best ones, obviously. So what you want to do is set your scale to, we'll tare it. So now it's at 0. We're going to leave it right there. So we're going to put our peanut butter right up on top. We're going to hit that tare button once again, and it's going to be at 0 grams. So basically, I'm just going to scoop out the amount that I need, and right here is going to say negative 14 grams. And this is how you're going to store it in MyFitnessPal. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to enter your food into MyFitnessPal.
We're going to start with the peanut butter, and I usually weigh my food. So make sure you have a scale instead of just doing the serving size, because most people tend to overestimate the amount of calories they're consuming. You put 1 tablespoon and you see a whole big ass round ass scoop. You don't want to do that shit. So we're going to go into MyFitnessPal, and I'm going to put in the protein here. So let's say I'm going with 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. Okay. Hold on 1 second, and I have it here because I eat it way too often. So you see I have 1 tablespoon, and it's 4 grams of carbs, 7.5 grams of fat, 3 grams of protein. I'm going to put that in there, and you see it shows up just like this. So up here on MyFitnessPal, I have it as nutrients remaining. So I have it set up as carbs. I think you have to pay for that one. I think the free one comes with the calorie focused, so you can see how many calories I have left for the day. Because I track macros specifically, I like to do it the other way. Another thing, your exercise, do not add your exercise in MyFitnessPal, because what it does is it takes it from your calories, so you end up consuming the amount of calories that you're burning. And I say this right here because all of those watches are bullshit, so you don't even want to use that anyway. So no exercise, none. So that pretty much concludes how to calculate your macros. And as a side note, this is actually a really good way to learn about foods, how many calories you're consuming, so on and so forth. But this is not something that you should be thinking about doing long term. Tracking your food actually can be tedious at first, but once you get the hang of it, it kind of becomes second nature. So understand that you're probably gonna not get it right the first, the second, the third time. You can actually do this for a few months, and if you start feeling comfortable kind of eyeballing your food, you kind of can tell how much more or less you're consuming. For me, for instance, when I'm prepping for a competition, that's when I'm really on top of my tracking. Other than that, in my off season where I'm not tracking my food and I'm not really have a specific goal, I'm trying to gain or lose or whatever, I'm kind of maintaining, because I've been tracking for a while. I kind of know more or less how much is in food if I'm looking at it, which is a good tool to learn. But like I said, after a while, you kind of start intuitively eating, which is the goal, right? You don't want to be doing this forever, and you want to be comfortable with your foods that you're eating. So that pretty much sums it up for today. If you found this video helpful, make sure you guys subscribe, drop a comment, and see you guys for the next video.